Good night, this is Fumi Sleepy Time Stories. Tonight's bedtime story is about to begin.
Once upon a time, there was a merchant who was preparing to go on a short journey. He had 3 daughters. Before setting out, he asked them what gifts they would like him to bring back. The eldest daughter said she wanted pearls. The second asked for gemstones. But the youngest said, "Dear father, please bring me a single rose." It was winter then, and to find a rose in such a cold season was almost impossible. Yet the father knew how much his loveliest daughter adored flowers, so he promised her he would do all he could to bring her a rose. After kissing each of his 3 daughters goodbye, the merchant departed. On his way home, the merchant was able to find the pearls and gemstones his older daughters desired. But no matter where he searched, he could not find a single rose for his youngest. Wherever he went asking for roses, people laughed at him and asked if he thought roses bloomed in winter. Though their mockery hurt, he didn't mind. For the sake of his beloved daughter, he was determined to find something for her. At last, he came to a beautiful castle, surrounded by an extraordinary garden. Strangely, one half of the garden seemed to be in full spring bloom, while the other half lay barren under a thick blanket of snow. On one side, flowers of every kind flourished. On the other, all was withered and white. The merchant could not help but exclaim to his servant, "Ah, how fortunate we are." Then he sent the servant into the blooming part of the garden to pick a single rose. They were overjoyed to have found the rose, and were about to leave, when a fierce lion leapt out with a roar. "Who dares to steal my roses? I shall devour them." The merchant was terrified and stammered, "I did not know this garden belonged to you. Is there any way I can be spared?" "No," growled the lion. "There is only one way. You must promise to give me the first thing that greets you upon your return home. Do this, and I shall let you go, rose and all." But the merchant hesitated. "My youngest daughter loves me more than anyone. She is always the first to come running when I return. The first thing I see may well be her." At this, the servant, trembling with fear, said, "Perhaps it will be a cat or a dog that greets you first." Clinging to that faint hope, the merchant agreed. He took the rose and promised the lion he would give him the first thing he saw upon returning home. When the merchant arrived, his dearest daughter was indeed the first to spot him. She ran out joyfully, showering him with kisses. And when she saw the rose, her delight was even greater. But her father's heart was heavy with sorrow. "Oh, my dearest child," he said, "this rose cost me dearly. In order to bring it to you, I had to promise you to a dreadful lion. When he takes you, he will surely tear you apart and devour you." He then told her everything that had happened, and in despair, decided he would break his promise and let fate decide the rest. But the youngest daughter gently comforted him. "Dear father," she said, "you must keep your word. I will go to the lion, and perhaps I will tame him. Maybe he will let me return home safely." The next morning, she asked for directions, bid her father farewell, and bravely stepped into the forest. In truth, the lion was a prince under a wicked enchantment. By day, he and his court were lions. By night, they regained their human forms. When the girl reached the castle, the lion greeted her with great courtesy and soon asked for her hand in marriage. She agreed, and after a grand wedding, they lived together in happiness. Each night, the prince would appear, summon his council, and meet with her. But as soon as daylight came, he vanished once more. She never knew where he went, yet each night he returned, day after day, the same. One day the prince said to her, "Tomorrow is your elder sister's wedding. Your father is hosting a grand celebration. If you wish to see them, I will send my lions to take you home." She, who longed to see her father, was overjoyed. The next day she left with the lions, and everyone who saw her was astonished, for they had thought she had been devoured long ago. She told them how happy she now was. She stayed until the wedding ended, then returned to the forest. Soon it was time for her second sister to be married, and once again she was invited. But this time she said to the prince, "You must come with me. I won't go alone." The prince refused. "It is too dangerous," he said. "If even a single ray of light touches me, the enchantment will grow stronger. I will turn into a dove and must wander the world for 7 years." But she insisted, promising to be careful and keep all light away. At last, he agreed and brought their child along. Once home, she chose a hall with thick walls and had him stay there, yet no one noticed a crack in the door. The wedding began. As the bridal party passed by the hall on their return from the church, a sliver of torchlight slipped through the crack and touched the prince. In an instant, he vanished. When his wife returned, all she saw was a white dove. "I must fly across the world for 7 years," said the dove. "But I will drop a feather now and then to guide you. Follow them, and one day you will find me and free me once more." And with that, he flew away. Without hesitation, she chased after the dove. He flew, on, and she followed tirelessly, through the vastness of the world, always guided by the falling white feathers. She focused only on the journey, caring for nothing else. She did not rest. She did not sleep. As the 7 years neared their end, she grew hopeful that her hardships were almost over. But her hopes were dashed. One day, as she searched, she could find no more feathers. She looked up to the sky. Not a dove, not even a bird was in sight. "Heavens," she sighed. "No one can help me now." She walked toward the sun and called out, "O sun, you shine upon the earth and gaze upon all valleys and hills. Have you seen a white dove?" "No," said the sun. "But I will give you a small box. Open it when you are in greatest need." She thanked the sun and went on. As night fell, the moon rose, casting its pale light across the land. She called out, "O moon, you shine through the night upon field and forest. Have you seen a white dove?" "No," said the moon, "but I will give you an egg. Break it only when you most need help." She thanked the moon and continued her search. A gentle breeze began to blow. As it passed her, she called out, Evening wind, you rustle through the trees and whisper among the leaves. Have you seen a white dove? No, replied the wind, but I will ask others who might have seen him. The east wind and west wind came, but neither had seen the dove. Then the south wind said, I saw him. He flew to the Red Sea, but the 7 years are over, and he has become a lion once more. Now he is battling a dragon. That dragon is an enchanted princess who wants to keep you apart. Upon hearing this, the evening wind said, Here's a secret. Go to the Red Sea. On the right bank, you will find a row of willow branches. Count to the 11th one and break it off. Use it to strike the dragon. The lion will win. Both will return to human form. But remember, go at once to your beloved and bring him home. The poor girl went on, reaching the Red Sea. Just as the wind had said, she found the 11th willow branch and struck the dragon. In a flash, the lion became a prince again, and the dragon turned into a princess. In her joy, the girl forgot the wind's warning. The princess quickly took the prince's arm and led him away. The poor girl had come so far, only to be left behind again, lost and alone. Yet she did not despair. I will go on, she said, even to the ends of the earth, wherever the wind may blow, wherever roosters crow. I will go until I find him again. And so she set out on a new journey. At last, fortune smiled upon her. She came to a great castle, and there was the prince, brought there by the other princess. She saw preparations for a grand feast and asked around. It was to be a wedding celebration. Oh, may God help me, she cried. Then she opened the small box the sun had given her. Inside was a gown, dazzling with the brilliance of sunlight. She put on the gown and entered the palace. All eyes turned to her at once. The bride saw her and was filled with envy. Will you sell me that dress? She asked. This dress cannot be bought with gold or silver, the girl replied. Only with flesh and blood. Not understanding, the bride asked what she meant. The girl said, Let me spend one night in the groom's chamber, and the dress shall be yours. The bride agreed, but told the servants to give the prince a sleeping potion so he would hear and see nothing. That night, the girl was led into the prince's chamber. She sat beside him and whispered through tears, I followed you for 7 years. I searched the skies for your feathers. I asked the sun, the moon, and the wind. I struck the dragon for your sake, and now I've come all this way, but you do not know I'm here. But the sleeping potion was strong, and the prince heard none of it. When morning came, he still did not know she had been at his side. The poor girl left, heartbroken. But she would not give up. She opened the egg the moon had given her. Out poured a golden hen with 12 golden chicks that danced about, bright as stars. When the jealous princess saw them, she wanted them for herself. Sell them to me, she cried. The girl replied, These cannot be bought with gold or silver, only with flesh and blood. Once more, the bride agreed to let her spend a night in the prince's chamber. And once more, She ordered the servants to give him a sleeping potion. That night, the girl wept by his side again and told him all she had done for him, all she had suffered, how she had loved him and never given up. But still he slept on, unaware. Fortunately, a servant who pitied her had overheard the girl's story the night before. This time, he secretly poured the sleeping potion out and replaced it with plain wine. When the girl entered the chamber again that night, she told her tale once more. But this time the prince stirred, his eyes opened slowly, and when he saw her, he cried out with joy, "You are here, my true bride, my faithful one. I dreamed you were near, and now you truly are." The next morning, he went before the court and declared, "I have been bound by enchantment and trickery. This girl, who followed me across the world, who saved me from the dragon, is my true bride, and I shall marry her today." The other princess fled the castle in shame, never to be seen again. And the prince and his faithful bride were married at last, with joy and celebration, for all knew no greater love than that of the girl who never gave up. They lived long and happily, and when they told their tale, they always began, "Once there was a dove, and a girl who followed the wind."